Hello darling, I watched a really interesting video on Edutopia today.
Really? Tell me about it.
Professor James Paul G was speaking on grading with games. Can you believe that?
Grading with games? Is that even possible?
Well, according to him, it's already happening in game playing and suggests designing a curriculum around game playing has pedagogical value.
Games do present the player with information on an as-needed basis and immediately assesses whether they have digested that information. For example, if they enter a room and are defeated by the monster, they fail and have to try again.
That sounds dreadful.
The ingenious thing about game design is that failure is taken as an opportunity to retry and succeed, whereas in many educational settings the student sees failure as a beginning of disengagement in the process.
What is it about games that instill this kind of perseverance?
Well, as we have learned from some TED Talks, game designers manipulate the reward structure in a way that keeps the player coming back. And it would seem that this might have a direct relevance to using game design in the classroom.
But darling, people also persevere in games because it's a fantasy universe and it's not real failure. I have a question for you. Why do people learn Klingon? Why aren't they spending that time learning French or Egyptian hieroglyphics? Why some kooky language from a science fiction television show?
Yes, that's problematic. If the main attraction about game playing is that it takes place in a fantasy universe, then there might be limitations in gamifying the math curriculum. If you are still stuck learning quadratic equations in the game, that's not Klingon. See what I mean?
All that time the children spent playing Rock Band in no way improved their musical skills. And there is also an element of delayed gratification in real life that games gloss over by manipulating the reward structure. It takes many years to learn to play a musical instrument well. Doc mentioned in class the other day that he didn't believe that learning happened through games, that games are a reinforcement of what was previously learned.
Admittedly, there are limitations, but you can learn history through war games, for example. You can learn elements of strategy, diplomacy, chronology, and a cornucopia of historical facts. Why can't a game present real educational content in any subject area?
She seems to be suggesting that the game is where the learning would take place and that the textbook game manual is used for reference and not as a primary source of information.
Another important aspect of gaming is the online communities of gamers that form.
Yes, G refers to these passion communities in his video.
In these communities, age and credentials are inconsequential. It's the level of expertise that the players demonstrate in that chosen field that counts. Young can teach old. And the leaders of the community are consistently held to a very high standard. At times, a passion for the fantasy universe can have real-life benefits.
Like the fan fiction sites that develop which provide motivation for game players to read and write.
Well, if it will help the children, I am willing to sacrifice my chore time to game playing.
Nice try. Now go take out the garbage.
Yes, dear.